I never thought my own family would betray me like this. When my parents died, I stepped up to help my sister Amanda and her family keep their house. I bought it outright, paid the mortgage every month without fail. I was happy to do it. That is what family is for, right? When my condo needed renovations after a flood, moving in with them seemed natural. Everything was fine at first, but then things started changing. The coldness, the whispers, the missing belongings. If only I had seen the warning signs. Where are you watching from today? If you have ever been betrayed by family, hit that subscribe button and join me on this painful journey. I am Brady, 32 years old, a software engineer living in Seattle. 3 years ago, my life changed forever when my parents died in a horrific car accident on Interstate 5 during a rainstorm. It was the most devastating moment of my life. Growing up, Amanda and I were inseparable despite being twins with very different personalities. She was always the outgoing one, while I preferred the quiet comfort of my computer. We shared everything, from toys to secrets to dreams. Even as adults, we called each other almost daily. After graduating from Washington State University with my computer science degree, I landed a job at a major tech company. The timing was perfect as the industry was booming. Hard work and some lucky stock options put me in a comfortable financial position by my late 20s. Meanwhile, Amanda married her high school sweetheart Jack right after college. They quickly had 2 kids, Ellie, now 10, and Thomas, 8. While I climbed the corporate ladder, they struggled financially. Jack bounced between sales jobs, never quite finding his footing. Amanda worked part-time as a dental receptionist while raising their children. 2 years ago, I received a tearful call from my sister. They were 3 months behind on their mortgage payments, facing foreclosure within weeks. Without hesitation, I stepped in, purchasing their 3-bedroom suburban home outright. The arrangement seemed simple. I would pay the $2,800 monthly mortgage, and they would maintain the property. My generosity extended beyond just the house. I paid tuition for both kids at Meadowbrook Academy, a prestigious private school. I funded family vacations to Disney World and Hawaii. Last Christmas, I bought them a new minivan when their old car finally died. I never viewed it as charity. This was my family, and I was blessed with the means to help them live comfortably. Our arrangement worked perfectly until 6 months ago, when a major pipe burst in my downtown condo. The property management company estimated 3 months of renovations to repair the extensive water damage. When I mentioned staying at a hotel during repairs, Amanda immediately offered their basement. "We have that finished basement with its own bathroom. You could save money and spend more time with the kids," she insisted. The finished basement had been my contribution to their home last year, complete with a mini kitchen bathroom and separate entrance. Initially, the arrangement seemed ideal. Amanda welcomed me with home-cooked meals the first week. The kids were thrilled to have their uncle around more often. Only Jack seemed uncomfortable with my presence, often leaving the room when I entered, or making excuses to eat dinner alone. I respected their space, spending most evenings working in the basement or out with friends. I even increased my monthly contribution to cover additional utilities. Within weeks, small tensions emerged. The kitchen upstairs became off-limits during certain hours. Amanda complained about noise when I returned from late work events. My designated shelf in the refrigerator mysteriously shrank. I brushed these off as normal adjustment issues for a household suddenly sharing space with another adult. The atmosphere grew increasingly strained when Jack lost his sales position at a local furniture store. He blamed his performance issues on stress from having me in the house. "I cannot focus knowing someone is always here judging me," he muttered during a tense family dinner. I offered to help him network for new opportunities, but he refused, saying my success made him feel inadequate. Late one night, I overheard a heated argument between Amanda and Jack. "Brady thinks he can buy his way into controlling our lives," Jack said bitterly. What shocked me was Amanda's response: "Just put up with him until we figure something else out." Their words stung. Was this how they truly viewed my help? Amanda became increasingly cold and distant. Family movie nights no longer included invitations for me. Sunday dinners happened without notice while I worked in the basement. One weekend, they took the kids to a local amusement park. something I had previously funded, without even mentioning it. I discovered it only through social media posts. The first serious breach of trust occurred when I noticed my belongings being moved around. My laptop repositioned on my desk, drawers left slightly open. Initially, I dismissed it as my own forgetfulness, or perhaps the kids exploring. Then valuable items began disappearing. A limited edition collectible watch from my tech company, a silver money clip from my father's small electronics. The situation reached a breaking point when I returned from work to discover my home office area completely rearranged. My desk drawers had been emptied and refilled haphazardly. My external hard drive containing important work projects was missing. Most disturbing was finding my prized baseball card collection, worth thousands of dollars, damaged with several valuable cards missing. When I confronted Amanda, her reaction left me speechless. "You are being paranoid, Brady." "Nobody touched your precious things," she said dismissively. Jack was even more confrontational. "This is our house," he said, despite the fact that my name alone was on the deed and mortgage. "Stop acting like you own the place, just because you pay the bills." The painful truth became clear in that moment. Amanda sided with Jack, suggesting perhaps I needed therapy for my anxiety issues. My own twin sister, the person I trusted most in the world, was gaslighting me in the very home I provided for her family. That night, lying awake in the basement bedroom, I felt truly alone for the first time since our parents died. Despite the growing tension, I wanted to salvage our relationship. Family was all I had left after losing our parents. I purchased new gaming systems for Ellie and Thomas, hoping to reconnect through their excitement. I offered to help Jack with his resume and made calls to contacts at several companies with sales openings. For a brief moment, Amanda seemed to warm up again, inviting me to dinner and asking about my day like she used to. This reprieve proved short-lived. While borrowing Amanda's phone to call my office during a power outage, a text notification caught my eye. "Brady is so clueless. Jack says we just need to play nice until the plan works out." The message was from her friend Megan, someone I had always considered a mutual friend. I scrolled up slightly, seeing dozens of messages mocking my generosity and discussing ways to maximize what they could get from me. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. What plan were they executing? What else were they hiding? My suspicions grew when work projects began falling behind due to mysterious computer issues. Files I needed would disappear from my laptop. Crucial emails would somehow end up in spam folders. During an important video conference call, the Wi-Fi inexplicably disconnected, despite working perfectly for Amanda streaming movies upstairs. One morning, I discovered deep scratches along the driver's side of my car. The neighbor across the street, an elderly man named Harold, who spent most days watching the neighborhood from his porch, approached me hesitantly. "I saw your brother-in-law checking out your car last night with some keys in his hand," he whispered. I would have said something sooner, but he trailed off, looking uncomfortable. "They have been telling people you have mental problems, that you are unstable. Several neighbors have heard them. The sabotage extended beyond my property." Harold mentioned overhearing Amanda telling another neighbor that I had dangerous episodes, and they were handling the situation delicately. This explained the strange looks I received while collecting mail or taking out trash. They were systematically isolating me, destroying my reputation in a neighborhood where I had paid for their home. My mail began disappearing or appearing opened. Credit card statements, work documents, even personal letters. When confronted, Amanda suggested perhaps I had forgotten checking the mail myself. Gaslighting became their primary weapon. The interference extended into my personal life as well. Twice, I had planned dates, only to have Amanda schedule last-minute family emergencies, requiring my help. When a woman I had been seeing for several weeks came to pick me up, Amanda intercepted her, mentioning my ongoing therapy for anger management. The relationship quickly fizzled. Financial exploitation became increasingly blatant. Reviewing my credit card statements, I discovered thousands of dollars in unauthorized purchases, electronics, clothing, restaurant charges in towns I had never visited. When questioned, Amanda tearfully claimed she had borrowed my card for a few small emergencies and must have forgotten to mention it. Jack began asking for loans beyond the mortgage. $500 for car repairs, $700 for dental work, $1,000 for a certification course. None of these expenses ever materialized into actual repairs, treatments, or classes. When I requested receipts, they became defensive, accusing me of not trusting family. The most shocking discovery came from Ellie's math teacher during a chance encounter at a coffee shop. She thanked me for my generosity toward the school's building fund. Confused, I asked for clarification. The teacher explained that Amanda and Jack had donated $5,000 in my name, exactly half the tuition amount I paid directly to the school each semester. They had been diverting funds intended for their children's education into other accounts. Jack's job search had apparently ended entirely. When I mentioned an interview I had arranged at a friend's company, he shrugged it off. Later, I overheard him telling Amanda, "Why bother working when Brady covers everything anyway? Let him keep feeling important by paying our bills." The toxic environment began affecting my health. Sleep became elusive with anxiety, keeping me awake until early morning hours. Stress-induced headaches became constant companions. During a routine checkup, my doctor noted elevated blood pressure and concerning weight loss. Whatever is causing this stress, she warned, is literally making you sick. One evening, searching for my anxiety medication in the basement bathroom, I realized the prescription bottle was missing several pills. I had taken only 2 that week, yet more than half the month's supply had vanished. Either I was losing my mind or someone was taking my medication. After weeks of documentation and careful observation, I finally gathered the courage for a formal confrontation. I called a family meeting, presented evidence of the missing items: credit card fraud, reputation, sabotage, and medication theft. I laid out clear boundaries. This behavior had to stop immediately, or I would need to reconsider our living arrangement and my financial support. Their response revealed the depth of their manipulation. Amanda dissolved into tears, claiming I was being dramatic and hurting the family. Jack suggested my paranoid accusations were signs of deteriorating mental health, perhaps brought on by grief from our parents' death. "Maybe you should consider inpatient treatment," he suggested with false concern. "We only want what is best for you." Defeated and exhausted, I delivered an ultimatum: respect my boundaries, or I would move out and reconsider my financial contributions to the household. Their expressions changed instantly, fear replacing false sympathy. "You cannot just abandon your family," Amanda said coldly. "What about the kids? What about the mortgage?" A 3-day business trip to Portland gave me brief respite from the toxic environment. Missing my niece and nephew, I decided to return a day early, hoping to spend quality time with them. What I discovered upon my unexpected arrival would permanently shatter any remaining trust. Through the basement window, I observed Amanda, Jack, and even the children packing my belongings into boxes. Slipping in through my private entrance, I heard Jack instructing the kids. "Uncle Brady is very sick in his mind. The doctors will help him get better, but we need to pack his things for when he goes to the special hospital." Amanda's voice carried down the stairs. "Once we get him committed, we can petition for financial conservatorship. The lawyer says with his history of anxiety and erratic behavior, we have a strong case. They were planning to have me involuntarily committed for mental health issues to gain control of my assets." When I confronted them, Jack became physically threatening, backing me against the wall. "Nobody will believe you over us," he snarled. "We have been documenting your episodes for months. Every neighbor thinks you are unstable. Every friend has heard about your paranoid accusations." For the first time since moving in, genuine fear for my safety overcame me. I retreated to a hotel, calling in sick to work the following day to process what had happened and consult with an attorney. 2 evenings later, returning from dinner with colleagues, I discovered my world had completely imploded. The key to the basement door no longer worked. Ringing the front doorbell brought Amanda to the door, chain lock engaged. "You are not welcome here anymore," she said flatly. "We do not feel safe with you around the children." Shocked, I reminded her whose name was on the mortgage and deed. Her response chilled me. "We have documentation of your mental instability. Leave now, or we call the police for harassment." Before I could respond, flashing lights appeared in the driveway. Jack had already called the authorities, claiming I was trespassing and making threats. The responding officers, clearly influenced by whatever story they had been told, suggested I leave peacefully and sort this out through proper channels. One officer, noting my obvious distress, quietly advised me to contact an attorney immediately. Standing on the sidewalk in front of the home I owned, I watched neighbors peering through windows as police escorted me away. My sister had orchestrated my humiliation and removal from my own property. The Holiday Inn became my temporary residence while I attempted to process the betrayal. Calls and messages to Amanda went unanswered. My access to their social media accounts had been blocked. When I attempted to use my credit cards for the hotel extension, they were declined, maxed out with unauthorized charges. Harold, my elderly neighbor ally, called with disturbing news. They have been planning this for months, he revealed. I overheard them discussing it with friends back in April. Something about waiting until your renovation project started before implementing their plan. The realization that my eviction had been meticulously orchestrated for months devastated any remaining faith I had in human decency. 3 days after my eviction, I consulted with Patricia Murray, a family law attorney specializing in property disputes. Her assessment was both enlightening and empowering. You are the sole owner of the property and mortgage holder, she explained. While tenant rights offer them some protection, their actions constitute fraud, theft, and potentially criminal misconduct. Most shocking was her discovery that Amanda had apparently forged my signature on multiple documents, including loan applications, using the house as collateral. This goes beyond family disagreement, Patricia warned. You need to protect yourself financially and legally immediately. When I expressed concern about my niece and nephew, Patricia was direct. You cannot help those children if you allow their parents to destroy you. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do for those we love is establish firm boundaries. My therapist, Dr. Marcus, whom I began seeing weekly after the eviction, helped me recognize patterns of manipulation throughout my relationship with my twin. From what you have described, he noted, Amanda has consistently used your generosity against you. This did not begin with the housing situation. It appears to be a lifelong pattern. Painful memories surfaced during our sessions. Amanda taking credit for my academic achievements in high school. Amanda borrowing money from our parents that I was blamed for. Amanda convincing mutual friends I had done things I had not. The pattern was clear, but recognizing it brought little comfort. After 2 weeks of soul-searching therapy sessions and legal consultations, I reached the hardest decision of my life. I would no longer enable my sister's exploitation. Patricia drafted formal notices that mortgage payments would cease immediately unless I was granted full access to my property. We filed police reports regarding the stolen items, credit card fraud, and identity theft. We initiated the process to formally evict them from the property. The reaction was immediate and predictable. My phone exploded with calls, texts, and voicemails from Amanda. You cannot do this to your own family, she cried in one message. Think about the children, she pleaded in another. Jack left threatening messages about ruining me if I proceeded. Their sudden desperation to communicate contrasted sharply with weeks of silence. With police escort, I retrieved my remaining possessions from the house. Officers documented additional missing items and property damage. Amanda alternated between tears and rage, while Jack remained conspicuously absent. The children watched wide-eyed from upstairs, clearly confused by the situation. Ellie attempted to run downstairs to hug me, but Amanda physically restrained her. Your uncle is making us homeless, she told the child loudly enough for everyone to hear. The financial consequences of my decision unfolded rapidly. Within 30 days, the mortgage company posted the first late notice. By day 60, formal foreclosure proceedings began. Each development brought increasingly desperate communication from Amanda. She attempted every manipulation tactic, guilt threats, false reconciliation, mutual friends as messengers. Through it all, I maintained minimal contact, responding only through my attorney. The guilt was crushing at times. These were my flesh and blood, the children innocent victims of their parents' schemes. Yet Dr. Marcus helped me understand that continuing to enable their behavior would ultimately hurt everyone involved, including the children. When the final eviction notice appeared on the door, I watched from across the street. A mixture of vindication and sadness washed over me. This house represented my final connection to family, and now it would likely be sold at auction to cover the outstanding mortgage. I had won the battle but lost what mattered most: the family I thought I had. 3 months after the eviction, Harold called to inform me that Amanda's family had been staying at the roadside motel, a notoriously run-down establishment on the highway. Jack had apparently abandoned them when their savings ran out, leaving Amanda alone with the children. Her social media accounts, though blocked to me directly, were public enough that friends forwarded her posts, all blaming me for their homelessness while conveniently omitting their actions that led to this situation. My emotions remained complicated. Vindication mingled with concern for Ellie and Thomas. They had not created this situation but were suffering its consequences. When Amanda eventually reached out through a mutual friend requesting money for the children's sake, I declined direct financial assistance, but offered to help find her legitimate employment and appropriate housing assistance programs. Meanwhile, my own recovery progressed steadily. I found a modest townhouse across town, purposely choosing a property requiring minimal down payment to rebuild my savings. Weekly therapy sessions helped me understand the toxic dynamics that had defined my relationship with Amanda. Journaling became therapeutic, allowing me to process the grief of losing my only remaining family. Friends I had neglected during years of focusing on Amanda's family re-entered my life. Saturday, hiking trips. Thursday, game nights and genuine connections replaced the one-sided relationship that had drained me for years. My health improved noticeably. Blood pressure normalized, sleep returned, and the constant knot of anxiety in my stomach gradually dissolved. Professionally, my performance rebounded. The focus previously diverted to Amanda's constant crises redirected into creative problem-solving at work. A promotion followed along with recognition for a major project completion. Financial security, temporarily shaken by the mortgage situation, and stolen funds stabilized, then improved. Dating remained challenging. Trust issues surfaced whenever relationships progressed beyond casual. Catherine, a marketing director I met through work, showed extraordinary patience as I navigated these new emotional landscapes. Healing is not linear, she reminded me during difficult moments. Her understanding created space for genuine connection without pressure. 6 months after the eviction, an unexpected email arrived from Ellie's school email account. "Uncle Brady, we miss you. Mom says you abandoned us, but Thomas and I do not believe it. Can we talk?" With my therapist's guidance, I arranged a carefully structured meeting at a public park, informing Amanda through my attorney out of legal necessity. The reunion revealed heartbreaking truths. Amanda and Jack had told the children elaborate lies. That I had stolen their college funds, that I had mental problems making me dangerous, that I had never actually paid for their home or education. 10-year-old Ellie, wise beyond her years, had begun questioning these narratives when details contradicted her own memories. "I remember you buying us school supplies and taking us for ice cream," she said quietly. "Bad people do not do those things." Thomas, more reserved at 8, eventually asked if I hated them now. The question broke something inside me. These innocent children feared I had stopped loving them because of their parents' actions. That afternoon changed my approach entirely. While maintaining boundaries with Amanda, I established a new relationship with the children. College funds set up in my name, as trustee ensured their education would be protected. Monthly outings, approved by court order after Amanda's initial resistance, maintained our connection without enabling her manipulation. 1 year after being kicked out of the house I owned, my life had transformed completely. The home eventually sold at auction, covering most of the outstanding mortgage. I considered the financial loss worthwhile for the freedom gained. Professional success brought new opportunities, including potential relocation to our company's Austin office, physical distance that might prove healing. My perspective on family underwent profound revision. Biology created connections, but behavior determined relationships. The chosen family of close friends provided more authentic support than my twin ever had. When a colleague experienced family difficulties, I began mentoring him through the process, finding purpose in converting my pain to wisdom for others. Forgiveness remained complex territory. I did not harbor active resentment toward Amanda and Jack, but neither did I invite them back into my life. Boundaries were not punishment, but protection, a distinction Dr. Marcus helped me appreciate fully. The freedom that came from breaking toxic patterns allowed me to build relationships based on mutual respect, rather than obligation or guilt. Amanda's situation eventually stabilized through government assistance programs and part-time employment. Jack remained entirely absent, having moved to another state with a new girlfriend. The children adapted with the resilience characteristic of youth, though therapy helped them process their unstable circumstances. My relationship with Ellie and Thomas evolved carefully. Monthly outings expanded to occasional weekend visits. When Ellie won a school science competition, I attended the ceremony at her request, sitting separately from Amanda, but fully present for my niece's achievement. These small moments of connection, though bittersweet, confirmed I had made the right choice in maintaining appropriate boundaries while still supporting the children. The journey from betrayal to rebuilding taught me that sometimes the hardest decision is the healthiest one. Family loyalty matters, but not at the expense of self-respect and well-being. Walking away from toxic relationships, even blood relationships, created space for authentic connections to flourish. I no longer define myself as a victim of betrayal, but as a survivor who chose a different path. The most valuable lesson emerged gradually. We each write our own story. For years, I had been a supporting character in Amanda and Jack's narrative, valued only for what I provided, never for who I was. Reclaiming authorship of my life meant accepting the painful edits required for a better story moving forward. The house that once represented family obligation now symbolized the freedom that comes from choosing self-respect over self-sacrifice. Has someone you trusted ever betrayed you so deeply you had to walk away? Share your story in the comments below. Sometimes knowing others have survived similar pain helps us feel less alone in our struggles. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support helps me continue sharing these difficult life lessons that might help someone else going through tough times. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the family we choose brings more healing than the family we were born into.